I need someone to be my friend. Someone who won't run away. Maybe send me an angel. The nicest angel you have.
We know what happens next. But what if instead of the blue monster, something else lands? Something more super. A long time ago, several light years away, the planet Krypton imploded. As a last-ditch effort, two sets of parents from the House of El sent their children away. The infant Kal-El and his older cousin Kara. The baby landed first, but it took a little longer in stasis for Kara to land. But when she did, she landed in the tropical paradise of Kauai, Hawaii. That night, Lilo wished upon her ship as it crashed down like a shooting star. And at that moment, Nani decides that the next day she should get a pet for Lilo, as she knows Lilo struggles with making friends. But after Kara's ship crashed, making a huge crater, Kara, suddenly waking up from stasis, not knowing her strength yet, bursts through the lining of the ship. Dazed and confused, she stumbles into the middle of the road, where she is suddenly hit by a semi-truck. The truck driver's heart sank to his stomach, as the only thing he saw before the crash was a young girl getting hit. His truck buddies who were following him rushed to his aid and helped him out. But once he was out, he was fine. He ran to the front to check on the girl. But when he got there was no evidence of her. No blood, just a huge indent in the front of the semi. Kara, from a distance, watched, still confused, but slowly letting reality sit with her, remembering her father say Earth would make her stronger. Not wanting to be found, she speeds over to her pod and carries it to a more wooded area. In the first month, Kara was a blur, stealing food and clothing, but eventually she slowly integrated with the people, as the island kinda saw her as this strange homeless girl that came out of nowhere. At first, she didn't talk as she didn't understand the language, but soon, using her ability to learn super fast, she began to address the locals when passing by. Though she was nice, she would steal food thinking she wouldn't be seen. But most had a feeling it was her, but didn't particularly mind, as she didn't take much, like an apple or one potato. And they all had a feeling she was homeless. Occasionally, police would try to talk to her, but when she turned a corner, she would speed off faster than they could see. Kara honestly did find Earth, or at least this part of Earth, beautiful, and the people very nice. But she was depressed as memories of her dead planet and her dead family rushes through her mind. One day, when walking through the park thinking on these matters, she spots a little girl playing with her perfectly normal dog, looking somewhat down. Kind of concerned, she walks up to her and asks, "Hey kid, are you alright?" Lilo, looking up somewhat surprised by the stranger, suddenly just starts to vent in frustration. "No, my so-called friends made fun of my dog Stitch. Like, what am I supposed to do? Nothing I do will make them like me, not even getting a perfectly awesome dog. They still pick on me. Stitch is great, but he can't hold a conversation." Kara, taking a moment to process the trauma dump, then says, "I like your dog, he's cute." Lilo then exclaims, "Thank you! Finally, someone with reason." I'm Lilo, by the way. I'm Kara. Stitch, was it? Reminds me of my cousin's dog. Kara leans in to pet Stitch as she gets a solemn flashback to the puppy that the elves had. Lilo, seeing the look on her face, asks, "Hey, are you okay? You look down yourself." Kara then looks up to answer, "I'm just missing home." Lilo then asks, "Hey, wanna play with Stitch? That helps with sadness." Well, that and ravioli straight from the can, as my sister's boyfriend usually says. Kara chuckles and says, "Yeah, sure." Both Lilo and Kara play fetch with Stitch as they both actually have a lot of fun. It eventually gets dark as Lilo waves by. As she walks home, it sinks in. I made a friend. I gotta go tell Nani. Meanwhile, Kara was going to snatch an apple from Mrs. Hasegawa's grocery, but surprisingly, she sees a note on it saying, "Please don't run." Then someone walks out of the shop, and it's Mrs. Hasegawa herself. "Hey, don't run. You're not in trouble. I just want to offer you a job." Kara, shocked by the offer, Mrs. Hasegawa continues to ask, "If you come in early, we'll serve you breakfast and we'll pay you to buy your own food so you don't have to steal." Kara asks, "Why?" And then Mrs. Hasegawa continues, "We've seen you and you're nice and sweet, and we've seen you help the elderly cross the street and are very polite, but it's obvious you are down on your luck. So I think it would be better if you got a proper job. How about it?" With a soft smile, Kara says, "Well, yes, of course." Meanwhile, a few light years in space. Scans confirm 2 Kryptonian life signatures on planet the locals call Earth. Set a course. I must collect those specimens. By your command, Brainiac. Brainiac's ship warps towards Earth, ready to fulfill his programming. The next day on Earth, near the grocery, Lilo and her dog Stitch see Myrtle and her friends and run to say hi. "What do you want, Weirdlo?" Myrtle exclaimed. "I just want you to know I won't be bothering with you losers anymore, for I have made a friend, an older middle school aged girl, for I don't hang out with children like you anymore." Lilo obviously trying to flaunt her friend to her rivals, but Myrtle just laughs. "What lame-brained idiot is friends with you? Honestly, you must be lying or something." "What? No, she's real." As things get heated, Kara can actually hear the altercation a block away as she works at her new job. She turns to look. At this point, Lilo and Myrtle are in each other's faces. "She's real. I made a friend and she's better than you in every way," Lilo yelled. Myrtle in return says, "What a joke. No matter how much you try, you will always be alone and no one will ever like you." Lilo looks like she's about to throw a punch and Myrtle is about to push Lilo. But almost out of nowhere, Kara appears behind her and crushes a rock in her hand as her eyes briefly flashed red. The girls back off to Lilo's confusion. "Hey friend, are you okay?" Kara said cheerfully to Lilo. Lilo looks behind her and smiles. "I'm fine, Kara." "See, she's real." Myrtle intimidated. "Whatever, let's go girls." The bullies quick walk away. "So those are the jerks you told me about?" Kara asked. "Yeah, but I feel validated now, thanks. So wanna play?" "I'm working right now, but I should be off around 2. Can you wait for me?" Kara asked. "Sure, I'll wait." And they did so. So every weekday after work, the two play some weird game. And on the weekends, they'd go on adventures around the island. Nani, though cautious at first, really liked that Lilo had a friend, and how Lilo actually mellowed out with all the at-school drama. And Nani is also less stressed because she doesn't lose her job like in canon because Stitch, as in Experiment 626, does not eat Pleakley's head at her workplace. But she is still looking for a second job just to keep things stable. One day, on a Saturday morning, after watching cartoons at Lilo's house, the two go out on an adventure near the waterfalls, looking at strange bugs on the jungle floor. Kara, though, could hear a cracking sound, because overhead above Lilo at the top of the waterfalls is a tree that was about to fall, and it did. It was rapidly plummeting toward Lilo. As she looked up, not fully processing the danger, as Kara, at the speed of light, flies up and catches the tree with ease. Lilo's eyes widen as she sees her friend flying, holding a tree that was easily a ton. Are you... what? She couldn't get her words out. And Kara, thinking about the situation with nerves in her stomach, putting the tree down. I guess if I should tell anyone, it's you. Kara then brings Lilo to a secluded area in the woods near the mountains where a makeshift treehouse covered the pod Kara came in. Lilo, amazed, runs in and sees pillows and blankets decorating the interior. Lilo then inspects the pod. Kara then speaks up. I came in that. As in, I came from another planet. Lilo looked up in shock and glee as she is into horror stuff and aliens definitely falls under the category. Wow, do you eat brains? What? No, Kara laughs. Kara explains she escaped a dying world to live here, and that the earth and the sun gives her incredible power, to Lilo's childish glee. Kara was afraid to tell her as she thought Lilo would fear her, but that quickly went away as Lilo just geeked out. Afterward, their adventures continued, and Kara used her powers in front of Lilo freely, like using her breath to blow massive waves to surf, or using her speed and flight to visit other islands with her. Kara's makeshift home became a clubhouse of sorts. Life was almost perfect, but the next 24 hours was going to test the limits. One night, Kara is having a sleepover at Lilo's house, and Kara is admiring Lilo's photography talent. Kara then sees Lilo's photo of her parents sticking from under her pillow. Hey, who are they? Kara asked. Lilo solemnly said, my parents. They got into an accident one day and, well, that was it. Kara, nodding in understanding, then jokingly said, hey, my parents blew up with my planet. Lilo chuckled, see, you so get me. After a hearty laugh in each other's sorrow, they fall asleep. Meanwhile, above the earth, Brainiac is contemplating his options. 2 Kryptonians, 1 adult male and 1 juvenile female. I've cataloged this world before and I do not wish to cause any harm to the dwindling mosquito population. But I must preserve the even more endangered Kryptonians. Prepare a few drones. We will take the female first, as it seems the male has recently caught the public eye. The morning comes and both Lilo and Kara prepare for breakfast as Nani leaves to an interview for a hopefully higher paying job. The 2 girls are enjoying breakfast as Lilo looks through the paper for comics as an article about a Superman with great power makes headlines in Metropolis. Hey Kara, look at... Before Lilo finished her sentence, several Brainiac drones break in as Kara quickly grabs Lilo to run, but gets jumped by the robots. Kara is confused and frightened by these things trying to put restraints on her as she rapidly punches her way out. She fights, but they keep dogpiling on her as Lilo watches helplessly. She runs to get the phone to call help, but Brainiac himself barges in. It seems the Kryptonian is stronger on this planet than on the homeworld, but it seems to be attached to the human female. I can use it as bait. He then grabs Lilo and teleports to his ship. Kara screams out Lilo's name as she continues to fight the last drones off. The fight leaves Kara drained and Lilo's house in disrepair. Kara collapses outside in front as Nani drives in to see the horror in her eyes. Nani, in a panic, runs to Kara, checking on her and yelling out, "Where's Lilo?" All Kara could get out was, "They took her," before she blacked out. Soon, cops and even Cobra Bubbles came to assist in this assault and kidnapping case. Kara, in the back of an ambulance getting treated, suddenly wakes up and jumps out. Cops and Nani run to her to ask questions, but Kara, with a determined look on her face, flies up, breaking the sound barrier, to everyone's shock. Cobra Bubbles, recognizing this as something very similar to the recent reveal of the Superman in Metropolis, takes out his cell phone to make a few calls. Meanwhile, Kara flies high above the clouds, rapidly looking with her supervision, trying to locate Lilo, and spots a ship in low orbit, and flies at high speeds toward it, crashing through the outer shell. She runs around and smashes through things in search for her friend, when eventually Brainiac himself can be heard on the ship's intercoms. "Your ally is on the main bridge with me. Take the main elevator." At that, Kara flies straight up the elevator shaft, destroying the elevator and barging in. She sees Lilo in a glass pod as Brainiac sits upon a sort of throne with tubes connecting him to the rest of the ship. "Let her go," Kara ordered. "Don't worry, I mean no harm to the human juvenile. It's you I want specifically." "Me?" Kara asked. "Indeed. I was the main AI on Krypton that cataloged our entire history, along with astronomical information. In our home's destruction, many of my data banks were lost, specifically the logs of genetic data I had on all Kryptonian life." Kara stares in somewhat amazement as Brainiac continues. "When I sensed 2 Kryptonian specimens, I had to come and collect you. I'll let the human go if you let me have you without resistance. If not, I'll eliminate her, and honestly, I don't need you to be alive to obtain your genetic information. But I would rather have live specimens." "Don't do it, Kara," Lilo yelled. Kara was actually about to surrender, but then she realized, "Wait, you said 2 Kryptonians. The son of Jor-El, of the House of El, is also here," he explained. Kara almost cried at that information. "My baby cousin made it?" She's now stuck between a rock and a hard place because one decision puts Lilo in trouble, and the other puts her baby cousin in trouble. Banging on the glass, Lilo yells out, "Kick his butt already! I'll be mad if you don't." With Lilo's permission to risk it all, Kara fired her heat vision at Brainiac that he blocks with his tendrils. "So be it," he says as he summons an army of his drones to fight Kara. Everything is on the line. She can't afford to hold back. Kara battled the drones for several minutes as Lilo cheered her on. The collateral to the ship becomes obvious as things catch on fire and walls shatter. Lilo then asked Brainiac, "Hey, she's destroying your ship. Why aren't you calling it off?" "The ship itself is of no consequence, as long as the main core exists, and I have that shielded," he explains. The battle rages on as Kara is getting hurt. Even though she's stronger, she is still outnumbered. Eventually, she bursts through the small fry and charges at Brainiac, and Brainiac charges back. What feels like hours go by as Lilo watches her friend trying her best to win, but eventually she collapses on the ground on the verge of passing out. When Lilo yelled out, "That guy said there's a core that can destroy his ship or something." At hearing this, Kara, with whatever strength she had, punches her way through the ship's floor, making a tunnel as Brainiac made chase. Kara was no longer focused on defeating Brainiac. All she was trying to do was find the core as she flew randomly in multiple directions, destroying everything in her path. But Brainiac eventually caught up, wrapping his tendrils around her as they wrestled throughout the ship. Eventually, their battles tumble them into the core room, where Kara tries to reach it, but Brainiac holds her back. "Give up. Even if you did reach the core, the shield was created to withstand any weapon in the Kryptonian arsenal. But can it withstand a Kryptonian at their full potential? she exclaims as she fires all her energy into her heat vision, blasting through the shield and the core, blowing both Kara and Brainiac out the ship. Kara was drained and unconscious as the robotic Brainiac was defeated and in pieces. The ship powered off and was beginning to fall towards Earth. Lilo, in a panic, yells out for Kara as she sees her impending doom and begins to cry as she thinks the worst for her friend and herself. Kara, floating in space, is actually beginning to replenish her energy and also heals as the sun shines on her. Kara! That one scream from Lilo wakes Kara up as she rushes down to the ship, burning up in the atmosphere, as she quickly grabs Lilo's pod and flies back to Hawaii. She lands and puts Lilo down, but before words can be said, she flies back up. She flies straight for the falling ship because if it crash lands, it would destroy the entire town. Grabbing it with her hands in a full-on collision, with whatever strength she has left, she slows its descent and cushioned the landing before it hit town, and gently put it down on the road. The town, shocked at the sight of this girl that's been hanging around the town for a bit, catching an immense spaceship. Kara, lightheaded, walks over to Lilo and busts her pod open as Kara collapses from exhaustion. "Ow," Kara says as Lilo holds her up in a hug. A little later, the authorities come with Nani as she runs to hug both, not really paying attention to the massive spaceship. With Kara's secret out, she later openly uses her powers, such as her super speed, to rebuild a better house for Lilo and Nani. Cobra Bubbles manages to bring over the Man of Steel himself to reunite with his cousin, to her surprise as she sees her baby cousin in his 20s as she's still between 12 and 13. He offers her to live with his Earth parents, but she says Kauai is her home with her Ohana in Lilo. Clark smiled and helped update her makeshift clubhouse into her own fortress of solitude. Clark takes Brainiac's ship to his fortress and helps train Kara to become Supergirl. So Supergirl, with her cousin, or on her own, does her superhero thing. But in her personal life, she works at her job and hangs out with Lilo and her dog Stitch and continue to go on adventures. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed, because there's going to be more what ifs on this channel. And leave suggestions. Just throw out random ideas, and I mean really random ideas. Not just the typical, what if Goku was friends with Superman, or what if this, what if that. Like, make sure it's a really out there idea, and it might become a video. Alright, till next time, bye.